All right, the Longcoats are back with Pretty in Pink and Wait For You as the B-side, a treat for some classic songwriting and indie guitars. After the success of their EP only last year, October, the band from the Southwest are back and spoiling us with two songs. We're so grateful for that. What does it feel like to have like a classic A-side and B-side release out?
It's quite fun. It's interesting. It feels quite retro.
Professional.
Yeah, it's like a different experience to putting out the previous two singles, where it was very much like this one, and then there was like 6 months between that and the other one. Now having like two in a row, it's like, oh,
it's actually serious.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah. You're not nervous from the fact that Noel Gallagher back in the day wasting all the B-sides and stuff?
Yeah, man. I think there's nothing wrong with necessarily admitting that the B-side is maybe not quite as strong as the main single, because otherwise you put them both out as singles. But we're pretty confident that it slaps enough to sort of compare to Pretty in Pink.
So when you were writing these two songs, and then becoming the next part of the Longcoat journey, were these songs from before the release of the EP, or did they come after?
Pretty in Pink came before.
Yeah, we wrote Pretty in Pink before the EP came out, and then Wait For You. We wrote that in, what was it, August?
August, September, yeah.
September time. So, yeah, one pre, one post.
Oh, sweet. So Pretty in Pink captivates you straight away with its melody, slick guitars, and quite infectious rhythm, I have to admit, as well. Where did this song come from, and how was the recording of it? How was that experience?
Oh, where did it come from? Well, it was like Christmas 2019. I'd gone home from uni, and I kind of had this vague idea of a song called Pretty in Pink. And in like February, when we started practicing again, I sort of brought it to the table, and it wasn't really working. So we just kind of took some of the essence of it and just sort of wrote it in the practice. It was a bit of a free one.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
it was a bit of a free one. Those are some of the nice ones. Will and Bull weren't actually in the band when that was written, and the original idea was for Pretty in Pink to come out like November, because the EP was going to come out in like May. And obviously COVID happened, and the dreaded C word. Yeah, they kind of pushed it back. But the recording for Pretty in Pink was really fun. We recorded in a place called Cave Studios in Bath with our producer Jack, who produced the EP as well. And like, that's always a good time recording with him. He's the nicest guy ever.
The chorus is fantastic. Did you guys feel like you knew you had something catchy and impressive straight away in the recording experience, or did it come later on, like after it was all done? Because it must feel, if you do realize that during the recording process, I don't know, it must feel like some sort of, not pressure, but an ode to how good it is to make sure you nail it.
I'd say when we wrote it that you always get an idea of the kind of level your song's going to be at, but like we've kind of learned not to really feed too much into it, because when we were writing the EP, like the songs we thought were going to be like, this is the one, it ended up being ones we did not even expect it to be. So I feel like even though you've got something decent, you should never sort of, count the chickens before they're hatched. What is that, right?
Count the eggs.
Yeah. That's
Chickens are jolly.
I offer you a nice egg in this trying time.
No, that's right. So what was it like getting this idea in the studio as a band together? What was your first thoughts of it?
Well, because we wrote it sort of pre-EP, when we released our single Drag, we sort of played it for the first time live there.
Yeah.
So we played it like 2 or 3 times live to sort of decent reception before we even like booked any studio days, and kind of always knew it went down well. And like I think the studio is sort of where we were like, this is something quite impressive.
I think maybe just when we were doing the demo of mine, actually.
I think when we were recording the demo for it was very much like, I think there's something actually here. I think it's hard to sort of like actually know which one is going to want to take off, especially from the perspective of the person who did a lot of the brunt of like lyrics and stuff on that song. It's you never want to be too sure of yourself, but I was very, very sure that was going to be the one. I've had sort of doubts as it's gone on about you boys, with you guys thought it was like, this is straight away ahead.
I mean, time will tell, I guess.
I'm never quite sure with the song until it starts.
it's difficult if it's like a first party experience, because if you're involved in writing it, it becomes a lot harder to look at it objectively and go, yeah, that's the one.
For me, having not been involved in anything till about a month ago, I think it's
he's the biggest outsider perspective.
Yeah, Will's got this lovely perspective of like a lot of this record was written when he joined on, so he just kind of gets to have some fun with stuff that's already written, and as well as sort of joining and writing new stuff. But I guess with like Pretty in Pink so sort of done and solid by the time you joined, it must be a bit sort of strange.
It doesn't feel like I'm playing, you know, a song. I don't feel like, you know, it's got any of me in it naturally, but it means, you know, I think it sounds great. It's catchy.
Yeah,
you can jump up and down.
I can just imagine like it coming to the end of the gig and you guys doing it, and then like you fizzle it out, but then you just bring that hook back again, and then everyone just goes crazy once more. It has that atmosphere to it, which is going to go down so well live, I think.
That's definitely what we're hoping for.
Yeah, a set closer for the time being.
Yeah.
Oh, that'll rock the place down for sure. Did you feel like it was a continuation from the music beforehand, or do you feel like it's going to somewhere a bit different?
It is going somewhere a bit different, but I feel it felt like the right track to transition with it, because it's still kind of got that similar sort of sound to Drag, which was the biggest single off the EP. So it felt like a nice cohesive way to ease us into a slightly, you know, different sound, a more developed sound for the rest of the record that's to come. But yeah, it felt like the right track to kind of be that transitional point, because it calls back to the EP while still moving it forward.
So all our fans don't lose interest.
Of course,
all 25 of them. Our mums mostly, and sometimes our dads.
Yeah.
My sister.
The old uncle.
The old
uncle, yeah. My uncle actually loves it. I sent it to him. I gave him a sneaky. Well, I didn't actually. My brother nagged me to send it to him, and then he sent it to my uncle because he doesn't really understand the thing of like, this isn't released yet. I sent it to my parents and I sent it to my brother, and now half of Leeds have heard it.
Looking at Wait For You, listening on it, for me, it kind of touches on like little moments of nearly every kind of element of like Naughty's guitar music. There's a bit of a garage tone to it, I think, in particular. With writing that one that came after the EP, did you feel like that felt even more removed from what was happening beforehand with October, and then obviously writing Pretty in Pink before that release?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I mean, as much as any sort of indie pop rock in that sort of vein of guitar pop music always kind of has a tinge of the stuff you did before, because I guess it's one of those genres. But it definitely felt like it was the first one that we'd written that really felt completely removed. We wrote two others before it which haven't made a cut to this record, but they still very much felt like a jam session. Or it just very much felt like that, for me, is kind of what marked the beginning of the new era of Longcoats.
Isn't it the first one you wrote with me in it?
Yes, it was. It was the first one we wrote with Will.
It was kind of our first post-COVID get-together. It was kind of like the first one, because, I don't know, we kind of spent a little while not playing due to COVID, and then it meant that Ollie came back into the room, having been listening to some different music with some new, and kind of just brought these new ideas in, and then we were kind of riffing on this.
Yeah, and then all of them were terrible, and they made me throw them all away. And then they decided to write them themselves. But Lee's afterwards were, "This is shite. This is absolute shite."
I'm the stunt drummer. They actually have another drummer.
Stunt drummer.
I'm just here for the, you know, the look. You know the.
It must feel very, at first, and I'm guessing it can still happen from time to time, after years go by, that vulnerability of showing an idea, if that's a bass line or a guitar riff, lyrics, a melody. It must feel very vulnerable at times to put that forward and to see a reaction from the rest of you guys.
Yeah, it's got to a point now where actually, because me and Ollie have kind of written songs together for such a long time now, it's just we'll come with an idea,
about 16.
And then we can just go like, yeah, that works, or nah, let's not do that, and it's nothing personal. It's just like, yeah, not every idea works. So
from my perspective, I think showing stuff to Arthur is obviously very easy. Our friendship's been going on for such a long time. The first band I was in when I moved to the Southwest was with him. So it's like pretty much every songwriting idea has at least at some point gone through Arthur. And with Bull, when Bull first joined, it was a bit, again, the vulnerability kind of came back a bit because it was a very new experience. And
it takes a good few sort of couple of months to nail it. But
I think I never really struggled to show stuff to Will though, because I think he always has a much different perspective on it than Arthur and Bull do. You like to just kind of go with the flow a little bit.
If you say so.
There we go. Taking it all back right to the beginning, like individually and collectively, how was your music journeys individually like? What started off wanting to be a musician, to be in a band for you guys?
So for me, I think my first, like, I always liked listening to music when I was a kid, but my first like music moment where I was like, music was, it was on my 11th birthday. I was in the car. I got this new, and I got Let's Dance on CD for my birthday. And we put it on, and China Girl came on, and I was like, music, you know. And after that, I decided to, you know, make the misguided decision to learn guitar, and then I got into that, and then learned other instruments, and now I've got a really horrible career trajectory. It's great.
All else failed with the making actually intelligent music. He realised his only option was to join an indie band. For me, I come from quite a musical family background. My dad played guitar. My uncle's a musician. My brother's a musician. Hello. 12, I kind of decided to actually get into playing guitar. And I liked the idea of being one of those acoustic singer-songwriters. And then that didn't really work out. So when I moved up here, I just kind of got into rocky music and things like indie, and kind of went back and listened to a lot of the stuff I used to listen to when I was a kid. Like, tragically to say, for Arthur, I like to listen to McFly and Busted and things like that. So for me, it's like, it kind of started there, I think, really.
with me, I was kind of lucky to have my parents. They kind of always had me listening to music, even from like the womb, basically, that age. Like, I always say I've been to a David Bowie gig, and it was because it was my mum was pregnant with me. I wasn't actually there.
I'd take that. I would say the same thing.
I remember it. I was kicking.
Yeah, rebel. All of a sudden, you were.
Yeah. Yeah. I just sort of grew up in quite a musical family. Like,
I first sort of got into it when I think I just turned 14. And I was listening to a lot of rubbish, sort of early 2000s pop punk, which I still love, quietly.
It's not quietly. You played it every time we're in the car together.
Yeah, I did.
It's got down to 25 in a second.
Yeah, but no one else in my family is into music in that sort of way, really. So a few years later, when I decided I wanted to pursue it properly, it was a bit, they sort of just put blind faith in me, just like, yeah, go on then, do it. We don't really know anything about that, but sure, you know, knock yourself out, kid. And, now I'm here.
Jesus.
Yeah.
So what's next for you guys in terms of gigs, even more new music? What's the current situation looking into the summer months?
Obviously Pretty in Pink and its B-side Wait For You is out now. And that's the start of what we sort of branded the Pink era, which is those two songs and then another single in about 6-7 weeks time. After that, we move on to sort of early summer, another 2 singles, which are the Blue era, and then another 2 after that for Yellow. And then at some point, probably I think next year, they'll all go together with 4 extra tracks to form a sort of full-length album. Gigs wise, we've got a social distance one in our hometown of Bath at Moulds, and then we are playing in June in Bristol on the 25th, which is literally the weekend that lockdown is supposed to end. So it'll be the first non-social distance show, and it'll be an incredibly strange experience. I think it's currently fun. Yeah,
I love the whole idea of the different colours of releases, EPs, whatever, and then all coming together for potentially a full-on LP. That's so exciting and something to so look forward to. And then eventually when you get to that Bristol gig, it's going to be such a celebration and a starter for that all, which is going to be so exciting for you guys. Well, you guys nail it with song title names like Pretty in Pink. It just flows so nicely, and I absolutely dig it. It's so wicked.
I'm glad we've got a few good ones coming up. I think it's going to be a pretty solid year of music.
Yeah. And I'm sure loads of people are just going to get more and more excited for what Longcoats are going to be doing, especially with the amount of music that's going to be coming and what that will lead to. Pretty in Pink, Wait For You, out. Top tunes of just, like, as I said, classic songwriting with some great indiness and typical guitar music traits to it, which sounds absolutely epic. I can't wait for seeing the response. It's absolutely amazing. You guys deserve a lot of credit for these two songs in particular. They're awesome.
We put a lot of work into them.
There you go. That's the end of the day. That work ethic.
Apart from this guy.
That was really, that was really awesome. Thank you very much.
Nice. Yeah,
what a touching way.
That was good. I like it.
Yeah. There we go. Longcoats, Pretty in Pink, and Wait For You out now.
That's our street name.
Yeah.